Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Immigration with yours truly, Odette Montelibano, your licensed immigration consultant here in Toronto, Canada. And today, I want to talk to you about the Canadian Experience Class or CSC, one of the pathways for PR for international student graduates. So basically, the Canadian Experience Class or CSC has two eligibility requirements. So this PR application requires that you, the applicant, would have Canadian work experience, as the name of the program implies. So that's the first and foremost requirement. The second requirement would be language proficiency. And education is not a requirement of the program, but since the CSC applicant is going through the express entry system, then applicants would benefit from Canadian education and their education gained outside Canada as a means of boosting their points for the express entry system. Okay, so I hope that isn't confusing for you. So let's start with the Canadian work experience. Okay, so what are the conditions of the Canadian work experience that's eligible for the CSC application? First, the Canadian work experience must be a skilled work. Okay, it must be skilled work done for a period of 1 year within the last 3 years before the application. So it must be the length of the work should be 1 year. In working hours, it is equivalent to 1,560 hours or 30 hours per week if the work is done within the year, right? So, for example, the applicant only worked part-time for the whole year, and then he worked also like part-time for the second year, so he can combine those two part-time works in a period of 2 years when he applies for the CSC. So just keep in mind that the work experience, the skilled work experience must have been done within the last 3 years. If the work experience was done, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, then it doesn't count for this application. Okay? So, and what kind of work is eligible for this application? So, Immigration Canada is very clear that only work experiences in NOC 0A and B are eligible for the CSC application. So what kind of work is there in NOC 0A and B? For NOC 0, this would include managerial works. Okay, so restaurant example is that of a restaurant manager. NOC A is work done by professionals who usually require a university degree. An example is your nurses and your architects and engineers. These are all NOC A jobs. NOC B jobs are technical jobs and skilled trade jobs, which usually would require a college diploma or an apprenticeship. So an example of a NOC-B job would be your administrative assistant. Another example, staffing coordinator, that is NOC-B. For the skilled trades, examples would be that of a plumber, an electrician, or a welder. Okay, so these jobs are classified as NOC-B, and if an applicant has worked in any of these NOC-A, NOC-0, A, or B jobs for 1 full year in the last 3 years, then they are eligible for the CHC, provided they meet the other eligibility requirements as well. And the second eligibility requirement would be language. So for language proficiency, applicants would have to take the IELTS general test or CELPIP general in order to show Immigration Canada that they are proficient in the English language. So when applicants are French speaking, they would have to take the language test in French, which is the TEF, and I think that's TCF. Okay, so but I'm only going to talk, or I'm going to focus on the English language test. Okay, so for those who are employed in NOC-0 and A occupations, the minimum language requirement would be CLB 7. CLB stands for Canadian Language Benchmark. So test takers would have to score a minimum band of 7, and that goes for all the language abilities. That would be your speaking, listening, reading, and writing. So all of those you would have to score 7, a minimum of 7 in all of those abilities. Okay, that is for NOC-0A and NOC-0 and A. Now, for those who are working in NOC-B occupations, the minimum language score is CLB 5. Okay, CLB 5. However, since this application is going through the express entry system, it is always advisable to aim for a higher score. You know, it's like anything in life. You don't aim for the lowest, you aim for the highest. So if the minimum, just for example, if the minimum is 80%, you aim for 95%. Always aim for the highest. Why? Because the higher your score in the language test, it will also mean that you will have a higher CRS points in your express entry. So those are the 2 eligibility requirements for the Canadian Experience Class application. So as mentioned earlier, Canadian education is not a requirement, and neither is your education in, outside Canada. However, having Canadian education and having your education outside Canada assessed, right, would mean higher points for your express entry profile. Okay, so that's where Canadian education would come in. So how much points would it give you? For 1 to 2 years of Canadian education, it will boost your profile by 15 points. And for 3 years, right, 3 years or more, it would give you an additional of 30 points. And of course, your education outside Canada, it depends on the assessment that you would be getting, but the highest points the highest points would be 150 points for education. Okay, so the other requirements, that's it for the eligibility. You would also need to be admissible to Canada. Admissibility would mean, you would pass the medical examination and your criminal and background check. Last but not the least, you must show Immigration Canada that you intend to live outside the province of Quebec. Okay, so when you are doing this application, keep in mind that if you live in Quebec or you intend to live in Quebec, then you cannot apply for PR through the CSC. The reason being, Quebec has its own rules for skilled worker applications. So this wraps up our episode on the Canadian Experience class, which can be a pathway for PR for international student graduates who stayed in Canada and worked on NOCs 0A or B, after their graduation. And this is also a pathway for those who came to Canada on work permits and worked on occupations classified as NOC 0A or B. So thank you guys for watching, and please like and subscribe. As usual, you know the drill. Leave your comments below, and if you have any questions and you have any immigration topic that you're curious about, do send me an email. It's mch.immigration@gmail.com. Feel free to suggest or recommend or ask for anything that you would like me to talk about in this channel. So until next time, thank you so much for your time and attention, and until next time, have a great day everyone. Bye for now.